is Ian, and I'm doing a vlog with Alpha Clock Productions. This is my first ever vlog, and I'm recording it off of my MacBook Air. Anyway, for today's vlog, I'm just going to be talking about Star Wars, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love it. I have like 40 Star Wars books, tons of merchandise, went to Celebration 7, I love all these. I love pretty much everything Star Wars. And so specifically today, oh, and also, by the way, I'm sick, so if I sound if my voice sounds gravelly, then I'm also sorry for that. But what I'm going to be talking about today specifically is some of the Star Wars books, and specifically I'm going to be focusing on the new canon books instead of the older non-canon books, like the Bane series or Darth Plagueis, which is by far my favorite Star Wars book. But any of the books from the EU, which is no longer canon, I'm not going to be going over today at least, but I probably will be doing another video on that too soon, because those are some of my favorite books ever, and I really love them. So as of now, I only own 3 of the new Star Wars canon books. I only own A New Dawn, Tarkin, and Lords of the Sith. I've read the all the other books that have been out so far, but I just haven't had a chance to buy them yet. I just mainly grab them at the library or something like that. But so first of all, I'll talk about A New Dawn. Overall, it's an okay book, but I think it's more of a childish book. It's more, and I don't mean that in, it's like a picture book or something that you would read to kindergartners, but it's definitely not oriented towards a deep reader or somebody who really liked like the Plagueis book or Tarkin's or the Bane series, because nothing like that is really going on in it. And I'm not judging the book for that, because that's its target audience. It's going towards a wider it's got a wider market, so that's what Star Wars was trying to do, especially with the show Rebels, and obviously it's tied in directly with, sorry for the glare, directly with Rebels. You see Kanan and Hera on the cover, but overall it's a pretty decent book. I like where the storyline goes with it. I like the connections that they make to the show, and I like how it shows the start of the characters, and it brings a lot of good character development to the to the characters in the show that you don't really get through the show. You get a little bit of glimpses of Hera's past. You know that she's the son of Champ Syndulla, who was the star of a couple episodes of the Clone Wars. He's that rebellion Twi'lek from Ryloth, who's fighting against the Confederacy, and with Mace Windu and everything. And you also see a decent bit of backstory for how her and Kanan came together. You're not seeing a huge amount of backstory for Kanan, but you get to see Kanan's backstory in the new comic books that came out, directly focusing on his backstory. So that's really great. Moving on, I'm going to talk about Lords of the Sith. Now, Lords of the Sith is definitely it's a far cry from A New Dawn, instead of how I said it was childish and more oriented towards not so much as children but younger readers. Lords of the Sith isn't like that. It's not that younger readers couldn't read it at all. I would encourage anybody to read it, but it's definitely got a lot more violence. It's definitely got a much I wouldn't say a much deeper storyline to it, but there's a lot more subtleties that you see in this novel. Spoiler alert, by the way. I'll probably go into a few things about this novel, specifically dealing with events in the book, and I'll try not to spoil it too much. But just be warned that I might go into spoilers for a couple bits of it. But you see things in this book that you don't really see anywhere else. You see Vader really come to power, which is awesome. I used to think Vader was a chump, because you see him in the movies and he's getting wrecked by Luke, who has very little training, although he is an extremely or extremely powerful force sensitive person. Obviously because he's Anakin's son, and his power wasn't diluted by losing all of his limbs like Anakin did. Because Anakin would have been much stronger had he not lost all of his limbs. So you see Vader really step up to the role that he's given in the movies, that you don't really get to see him enact that role in the movies. And I think it's unfortunate in the movies, but you really see him come to power here. You really see him start to wreck shit, to be honest. And it's incredible. He's taking on planes by himself, and not just he's killing, or he's piloting stuff and piloting fighter jets and things like that. I mean, he's done that before, and so obviously he can do that, but just with his bare hands, with the use of the force. And you really see him as the combat master that he truly is. And you also see, what's even better is Sidious come to full power, or not to full power, but you see Sidious in his combative state, which you only get very minor glances at in the entire Star Wars series for the most part, including expanded universe, including movies, including shows. I mean, there is the one episode in season 5 of the Clone Wars, which I absolutely love, that episode where he fights Darth Maul and Savage Opress, and that's awesome, because you see how easily how much prowess he has in combat, and how much of a master he is to it. Nobody can stand up to him in a fight except for Yoda, and even then, I mean, it's a fight to it's a very elongated fight, because it's a stalemate pretty much. So and it's great to see him come to power in this, because it's great to see him fight in this. I shouldn't say come to power, but it's great to see him fight in this book, because you hardly ever get that, and it's great seeing him use his power and extend his influence, and the relationship between him and Vader. So and this is where I come into the spoilers. So there's this one instance where Vader is remembering a teaching that Sidious told him that says, if the master or apprentice ever becomes weak, it's the other's duty to kill them as Sith Lords. And so Vader was standing behind Sidious while Sidious was at the throne, or sitting on his throne, and Sidious senses these emotions and these thoughts in Vader, and turns his throne towards him and says, what's on your mind? And Vader says, I'm just thinking of the relationship between the Sith Master and Sith Apprentice. And Sidious is and Vader's and I sense power all around me, or I sense strength all around me, actually. And Sidious is good, and then turns his seat, I'm sorry. Sidious says, and then turns his seat around, putting his back to Vader. And then Vader says, I sense strength all around me. And this is where the subtleties that I had talked about earlier came in. So the turning of the chair before Vader had responded was kind of a sense of here's my back, try and attack me if you want, and see who's gonna come out on top, see who's gonna win, because I will. I'm so confident in my abilities that I know for first off, you won't try and attack me. Second of all, if you do, I'm gonna destroy you. So you really see Vader, you really get into the relationship between the two that you hardly ever see in any of the other installments. Because I'm going kind of long on this video, I'm gonna move on. But I definitely give Lords of the Sith 5 out of 5. It was great. Oh, another thing about that too is you really start to see the royal guards as a lot more personal. You see them a lot more closely than you have seen them in the other movies as just faceless guards. Now you start to see their faces. You start to see who they really are, how they act, and they're really, really badass. And it's super awesome to see that. Okay, moving on is Tarkin. I love Tarkin because it's by James Luceno, and it's a great book. James Luceno is my favorite Star Wars author. I love him. He wrote Plagueis. I was able to meet him at Celebration 7, got a book signed. It was great. But one of the reasons that I like Tarkin is because Tarkin is such this ambiguous character in A New Hope, but he's got such power to him and malice that you sense he's this terrible adversary, but he's a extremely strong person. And it's not as if he's immoral. He has a sense of morals, but he also values strength and almost the Sith philosophy of, only the strong survive. And in this book, you really see how this comes to be and how he truly appreciates strength. You see his backstory, you see how he's raised, how he grows up, and he would, if he was force sensitive, he'd be a perfect Sith, honestly. And that's another thing about this book, is that you see him develop a relationship with Sidious, well, actually, Palpatine. This is before he knows that he's a Sith Lord, but he develops this relationship with Palpatine, and Palpatine respects him. Unlike, a lot of the other people, Palpatine realizes this is a man I can respect. This is somebody, like, from a Sith Lord's who's one of the most powerful people in the galaxy. From their perspective, to respect somebody is huge, and he gives his respect to him. And it's honestly, it's amazing to see the relationship between the two, and how sometimes, and a spoiler alert for 2, but sometimes Sidious will even he'll respect Tarkin and trust in his abilities a lot more than he'll trust in Vader. And you see this relationship between Vader and Tarkin play out in it too, and it's just overall a really great book because of all these interactions that are going on that you would never get in any of the other installments, and also because of the backstory that you find for Tarkin, which is really badass, by the way. So I suggest anybody to read Tarkin, Lords of the Sith, and if you are into Rebels and the new Star Wars continuity, the new canon, I would definitely check out A New Dawn as well. It's not a bad book, and while I definitely favor it a lot less than Lords of the Sith or Tarkin, I'm not going to discount it or anything, because it's still got its credibility, because it is part of the new Star Wars continuity, and so it should be respected as such. But definitely, if I were you guys, I would check out Lords of the Sith and Tarkin, because they're awesome books and they're really great. And I think any Star Wars fan should definitely read them if they haven't gotten into the books already, because they're super cool, they're super badass. So yeah, well, that's about it for today. Thank you guys for watching Alpha Clock Productions. You guys should definitely like this video. You guys should definitely subscribe. And alright, thanks guys. I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching that video.
And if you like it, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe below where I just was.
See you again soon.
That I use for college, so sorry if the quality is pretty crappy. I did some tests at first to see what the audio to video connection looked like, and it's not that great. So please be easy on me with that stuff. So